Hello viewers, welcome to our weekly TV program, weekly show, Discover Turkey. As you know, we are talking about Turkey's most important places to visit and to see. And many people don't know the treasures and the values of Turkey. And that is why we do this program. We make this program just let you know and to inform about our country's, Turkey's most important places. Today we are going to talk about Gallipoli. Gallipoli and its the historical values. And Gallipoli is Çanakkale in Turkish, and the Gallipoli is Greek, and the name comes from Galli, celts, and the Poli means city. So the translation, English translation of Gallipoli is city of Celts. In our previous program, I had explained also the meaning of Gallipoli, so I kindly stay with us and also following our videos on Natural TV YouTube channel. Don't forget it, please. And what happens in Gallipoli, in Çanakkale, why it is so important. Istanbul and Gallipoli, Çanakkale, are two important cities because these cities are in between Europe and Asia. Istanbul is in Europe, but the Gallipoli is in Asian side. But these two cities in Turkey have got European soil, land part, and also the Asian part. Gallipoli is important because this city, first time, long time ago, was mentioned by Iliada of Homeros. Homeros had written a very epic story in the history that he wrote Trojan War, and no one knew it was real or it's a fake story. No one knew it until Trojan remainings had been found last century, nearly 100 years ago. The Trojan remainings had been found, discovered, and you can see also these remainings, the ruins in that area. But just before talking about Trojan War, we are going to speak about another war in Gallipoli. We can call it as Second Trojan War, in between Turkey, Turkish allies, and also England, British Empire and its allies. Nearly 500,000 people died in this war in both sides. It was the world history's the bloodiest and the most tragic war. And the allies of British Empire had come to Gallipoli with very modern warships, and 250,000 people all around the world, from the British India till Australia, New Zealand, and other British dominions. People came to Anatolia to fight, the country where they don't know who they are. But on the warships of British Empire, the commanders were telling the soldiers, "You are going to the most terrible nation of the world. Don't surrender. Otherwise, they're going to eat you." It's telling some lies like this. But the soldiers believed, and they were shivering. I'm not joking. You can also observe in historian books this kind of stories also written in history books. They were shivered when Turkish soldiers took them as prisoner. The Turkish soldiers, commanders, were very surprised, asking, "Why you are so shivering like this? Why you are so afraid?" And the soldiers, Dominion soldiers, were saying, "Because we were told that you're going to eat us." The Turkish commanders laughed, of course, this kind of ridiculous things. But not many books are writing these kind of realities. Anyway, just before this war, there was very bloody another war many years ago. This is an epic story of Greeks. Trojan War, it was between the Akas, they were living near Athens. They came to Anatolia, to Dardanelles, Gallipoli, to fight. And Anatolian Dardanelles, the Trojans, and in between Trojans and Akas, this war went on about 10 years. And the castle of Trojans were under the siege about 10 years, and they couldn't take the city. Those days the cities were like castles and the people were living inside of it. Trojan city was very well equipped, was very well built, and it was nearly impossible to take that city. And one of the commanders, also this story was told in Iliad, he thought to give a horse to Trojans as a peace, symbol of peace. And they were going to hide some soldiers inside of the wooden horse. They planned to make a very big build. They built a big horse, and they hid the soldiers, warriors, inside of the horse. When the Trojans, thinking that they are going to get the peace, they started drinking and they got drunken. And when they got drunken, the soldiers suddenly, in the middle of the night, they got out of the horse and they started killing all the Trojans, drunken Trojans. And this war had started just because of a love story. It was in between Helen and Paris. They loved each other. When Paris took the girl to Troy, this was the starting point of the war. Normally, Acha's king wanted to take Troy, but this kind of event, this kind of kidnapping, or this sort of love, gave him an opportunity to fight against Troy. Anyway, the war started and went on 10 years, and the story was also written by Homeros in Iliad, 24 chapters and 16,000 paragraphs you can find in Homeros. It's an epic story of the history, and the Greeks never forgot this war, and they always requested the war's scenes on the mosaics and also on plates, on pots. Today in Turkey and Greece, there are many pots or mosaics reflecting this war in between Achaz and Trojans. But there are some mythological events inside of the war. Homeros also put some mythological things inside of it, which are not true, because the story became just like a real story on the Greeks' minds when they read by the mythology. The most important mosaic is three beauties reflecting the war, and but this is not the Cappadocia's mosaic. It's a different one, the Üç Güzeller in Turkish. Is Üç Güzeller Efsanesi. When we translate into English, that is the legend, epic story of three beauties. When we look at Trojan War, there are some characters, even today, their names are mentioned in some sayings, some idioms as well, just like Achilles. Achilles, in Turkish Achil, he is a great warrior, but in the story of Homeros, also the Greeks, they believed that he is the son of goddess Thetis and the human Peleus. They got married, and when they got married, the Achilles came, and Thetis wanted his son Achilles immortal. That is why she washed her son in the river of Styx. And Thetis, when she touched his hand, his Achilles' body, and his body became strong. And also the Achilles heels, she was holding the Achilles body, holding with the heels of Achilles. And while doing this, Achilles' body became immortal and durable against any kind of weapon. According to story, Achilles has got only one weak point, is the heel. If any arrow or sword touches his heel, he could die. And the story goes this, and Hector, Hercules, is another person, very brave of the Trojans. We can say Achilles is the Achae's hero. Hercules is the Trojan hero. They started fights just before the war. Unfortunately, the Hercules was wounded and he died. And but his death body was taken by the Achaeans, and he was not given back to Trojans too. Paris is his name was given the capital of France. He was the son of the Trojan king Priamos, and when Paris was born, just before he was born, his mother had seen a dream about his son, and in her dream, the Paris was going to bring a big disaster to the nation, and just because of this dream, he was left to the mountain alone. According to story, the Paris was grown up by a shepherd and its kids, and also the Paris was milked by a female bear on the mountain. And then Paris, when he was grown up, when he was an adult, he fell in love Helen. When he fell in love Helen, and when he kidnapped her, this is the starting point of the Trojan War. And even when you come to Dardanelles, Çanakkale city, you can see two important places. One of them is Trojan remainings and ruins. You can still visit these kind of places. Another one is the fronts of the Turkish and British war remainings in Gallipoli. And there is a beautiful museum in Çanakkale. And if you want to visit and if you want to see the Trojan horse, in the wooden shape Trojan horse, you can see also city. You can take wonderful pictures as well. And Turkey is one of the most important place was Istanbul, just because of its position and the history. But we can call the second important place is Dardanelles. You can watch it, you can see it when you come to Turkey and the Çanakkale city. Thank you very much for being with us. Today we talked about Troy and its Dardanelles as well. You can come and visit our country. If you miss our programs, we kindly request you to follow our Natural TV YouTube channel and also other social media accounts such as in Facebook. Thank you very much for being with us. See you next week. Goodbye.